Have a pleasant day to everyone. My name is Kimberly Minor and I am the topic reporter for today, and my topic is all about philosophy of education during the Third Republic of the Philippines. So, before we move on, I have here the summary of the Third Republic, fundamental objectives, citizenship, morality, democracy, industry, family responsibility, use of leisure, helping the community, understanding of other nations. Ayan. Those are the fundamental objectives. And I also have here the brief history of the Third Republic educational program. So, the concept of academic freedom, only universities established by the state, religious instruction in the public schools, optional, and its implementation would have to be in accordance with what was already authorized by the existing law. So next is the creation of scholarship in the arts, sciences, and letters was for special especially gifted citizens. So for those who possess a certain level of capacity for academic students and are unable to afford the cost of college education. So educational practices during the Third Republic, brief history. First is the moral character, the quality of a person that guides his thinking, behavior, and relationship with others, social concerns and involvement, vocational efficiency, productivity, complete and adequate system of public education, and changes with the changing time and the changing needs of changing human beings. So what is Philippine Republic? This is also known as Third Republic. So the brief history is the transition government ended in 1945, same year World War II ended. July 4, 1946, the Republic of the Philippines was inaugurated at Luneta. Guest, General Douglas MacArthur, Supreme Commander of the Allied Power in Japan, General Millard Tiding, co-sponsor Philippine Independence Act, former Governor General F.E. Harrison, most beloved American government general in the Philippines. Next is the most meaningful and solemn moment of the independence ceremony was the raising of the Philippine flag by President Rojas and lowering the American flag by Ambassador Magna. And this is the start of the Third Republic. So, Philippines Republic start in 1945 to 1965. The period of rehabilitation, 1946 to 1965, period of nationalization and expansion in 1950 up to 1959, and the period of growth in 1960 up to 1985. Here's the presidents of the Republic of the Philippines. We have 5 presidents in that period. So first is Manuel A. Rojas, 1946 to 1948. So 2 years. 2 years siyang naging president. After him is Elpidio R. Quirino, the second president, 1948 to 1953. So medyo matagal to. 5 years. The third is Ramon F. Magsaysay, 1953 to 1957. 4 years. Carlos P. Garcia, 1957 to 1961. 5 years. O 4 years. Diosdado P. Macapagal, the late father of President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, 1961 to 1964. Yan, 4 years. Then, now, let's discuss the achievements and the educational system in the term of Manuel A. Rojas, 1946 to 1948. He is the first president of the Republic of the Philippines. Now, we will going to tackle the condition of the Philippines during Manuel A. Rojas' presidency. The country was paralyzed because World War II just ended. 80% of the school buildings were ruined, which weakened the educational system. The reconstruction cost of this building reaches 126 million pesos. So imagine after the World War, talagang bagsak ang ekonomiya ng Pilipinas. It's almost the school buildings, mga nasira din yan. Kaya nag-weaken ang educational system ng Philippines. And imagine the reconstruction costs ng mga nasira, ng mga gusali, reaches 126 million pesos. And the primary problems are, first is the economy was struggling because of low output growth and high unemployment rates. Because businesses were closing, there were no more jobs available for people. Education also severely weakened. School buildings were destroyed and instruments to teach children were obliterated. Policies done by Rojas were highly influenced by U.S. officials. So, mga policies, mga decision ni Manuel A. Rojas is highly influenced by U.S. officials. Talagang lugmok ang ekonomiya ng Pilipinas. The first termino ni Manuel A. Rojas, yan. Dahil yung mga businesses nagsasara at wala na may offer na job sa mga tao. Ayan. Yung educational system naman nila talagang mahina. Schools building were destroyed. Ayan, sinabi ko kanina, na-destroy, nasira, and instrument to teach the children were obliterated. Napakahirap. Ayan. Next, laws and programs. On August 5, 1946, the Treaty of General Relations was ratified between the Philippines and the U.S. It recognized Philippine independence as of July 4, 1946, and relinquished American sovereignty over the Philippine Island. Yan. In 1946, the U.S. Congress offered $8 million as rehabilitation money in exchange for the ratification of the World Trade Act. During 1946, na-recognize na ang ating Philippine independence. But we all celebrate Philippine Independence Day. Kailan? June 12. Ayan. In 1946, the U.S. Congress offered $800 billion as rehabilitation money. Yan, nag-offer daw sila na $800 million para sa rehabilitasyon ng Pilipinas. So, ang kapalit nun is the ratification of the Belt Trade Act. Then, on January 1st, 1947, the next year, under the Belt Trade Act, the the 40th Amendment was introduced. It gave American citizens and corporations equal rights to Filipinos to utilize natural resources and operate public utilities. Yan. Nagbibigay ito ng pahintulot na magkaroon ng equal rights ang mga Amerikano at ang mga Pilipino kung papaano i-utilize ang mga natural resources ng bansa at saka kung papaano i-operate ang public utilities. Yan, equal rights for the Filipino and Americans. So 23 of those bases were leased for 90 years, which means that they can leave the Philippine soil only by 2045. At yan ang nilalaman ng Bell Trade Act, the 40th Amendment. Yan. Now, let's go to educational system and curriculum during Mal Rojas administration. So, focused on the rehabilitation of the school system, which was in keeping with the policies of the government. 80% of the school was ruined because of reconstruction, 126 million annual deficit, and 200 million. Yan. Ito yung first move sa educational system. Of course, the rehabilitation of school system because talagang totally down ang ating school system that time. Manuel A. Rojas, educational system also include Executive Order number 94, which is in 1947, Department of Instruction to the Department of Education. So, from Department of Instruction, napalitan na siya ng Department of Education. Hanggang ngayon, ito po yung ginagamit nating pangalan sa educational system natin, which is the Department of Education. So, Republic Act number 139, Board on Textbook, Section 1. Ayan, nagkaroon na rin ng Board on Textbook. Next is Elpidio R. Quirino, 1948 to 1953. The second President of the Republic of the Philippines. So when President Manuel Rojas died on April 15, 1948, Quirino succeeded him as President of the Philippines, of the Philippine Republic. Siya yung sumunod kay Manuel A. Rojas. Yan. So, during Elpidio Quirino administration, the primary problems are the poverty was present specifically by the starvation problems of the people in the mountain province. Yan. Wages of people cannot compensate with the expenses of the people, and the prices of the product due to inflation. Yan. Unemployment was also evidenced because of the Americans were gradually decreasing their business in the Philippines. Yan. Poverty, kahirapan, most especially doon sa mga mountain province. Mga taong nakatira sa mountain province. Yan. Yung mga wages ng tao o yung kanilang income hindi sumasapat sa mga pangangailangan because the products are expenses and the prices of the product. Yan. Due to inflation. So what is the meaning of inflation? Bumababa yung value ng pera. That is in Elpidio R. Quirino administration, bumaba yung value ng pera. So, unemployment was also evidence. So, yan, marami pa rin ang mga walang trabaho. Dahil daw, sinasabi dito, the American were gradually decreasing their business in the Philippines. So, nagbabawasan ng mga business sa Pilipinas. Kaya, dumami ang unemployment. So, law and programs, Quirino focused on two main objectives. And what are those? His first objective was to fix the economy of his administration. To achieve his goal, he established PACSA, President's Action Committee on Social Amelioration. Yan, PACSA. ACPA and ACPA, Agricultural Credit Cooperative Financing Administration, Labor Management Advisory Board, and the Rural Bank of the Philippines. Ayan. And those are the programs of Elpidio Quirino. Also, the beneficiaries of the laws and programs. First is the PACSA, who is the beneficiaries, beneficial for financially challenged families. Yan. ACPA, aided farmers in selling what they harvested. So, more on farmers itong ACPA sa agriculture. Labor Management Advisory Board guided him on matters regarding labor. Yan. Rural banks help countrymen in the rural area manage their finances. Ayan. Rural Bank of the Philippines. Fireside chats updated Filipinos about operations in the government. Then, let's tackle the educational system and curriculum during the administration of Elpidio R. Quirino. So, our educational policy must be reviewed and revised for closer coordination with the objectives of our proposed development program. Without sacrificing the traditional aim of providing a liberal culture basis to the good life, I hope that the Joint Educational Committee of the Congress engaged in this study will be able to evolve as revision of the school system more adaptable to and in keeping with our national requirements. During Elpidio Quirino administration talagang pinagbubuti niya ang way of educational system. Talagang nire-revise niya, close monitoring, closer coordination with the objectives of proposed development program. Yan. Next is the Ramon F. Magsaysay. Yan, 1953 to 1957. He is the third president of the Philippine Republic. So Ramon Magsaysay was dubbed as the guy because many considered him as the president who really connected and represented the common man, being a president with a sympathetic heart to the masses. Talagang tinagurian siyang Pangulong Makamasa. Yan, boses ng masa. He even often Malacanang to the public. Yan. His death was presented with issues telling that his plane didn't actually crash, but it was sneaked in with a bomb that caused the plane crash of the president. Yan. May usap-usapan daw na, di ba, ang kinamatay ni Ramon F. Magsaysay ay plane crash. Talagang, pero sabi, may nagtanim daw ng bomba. Yan, talagang plano siyang patayin. So next, educational system and curriculum during Ramon F. Magsaysay administration. First is the Republic Act number 896, June 10, 1953. So Elementary Education Act of 1953. Kilala din yan sa Elementary Education Act of 1953. This new law restored grade 7, which was abolished by the Education Act 1940. So, another is the Republic Act number 1124, June 16, 1954, created Board of National Education. Senator Jose P. Laurel as chairman of the Board Committee on Education, University of Massachusetts, Basic philosophy of education. Nagkaroon na ng board exam. Yan. During Ramon F. Magsaysay. Yan. Educational System, Republic Act Number 1265, June 11, 1955, Compulsory Daily Flag Ceremony. Yan. Dito pala nagsimula yung Daily Flag Ceremony na itinataas ang bandila ng Pilipinas, which is in Republic Act 1265. So, next is the Republic Act 1425, June 12, 1956, Rizal as subject. So, itinuro din ang buhay ni Rizal sa mga colleges, Rizal as subject. Yan ang Republic Act 1425. So, maikli lang ang termino ni Ramon Magsaysay. That's why we will going to move for the fourth President of the Philippines Republic. He is Manuel P. Garcia from 1957 to 1961. Yan. Let's first discuss the condition of the Philippines during Carlos P. Garcia administration. So, it is said that the Philippines agreed to numerous conditions set by the United States as a requirement for the Philippines to receive war reconstruction assistance. As you remember, nagkaroon ng Belt Trade Act. Ito yung nagbigay ng 800 million para sa rehabilitation ng Pilipinas. Ayan. The floor of import had greatly increased and making the Philippines heavily dependent of imported products. Yan. The Philippines also promised not to be changed its exchange rate from $1 is to 2 pesos. Imagine that time. $1 is equivalent to 2 pesos only. Yan. And also it is said that the flow of import greatly increased. Yan. Yung import ba sa Pilipinas, naging dependent na tayo sa mga imported products. Ayan. During that time. And that is the condition of the Philippines. From 1957 in Carlos P. Garcia administration. So, let's move to the primary problems. Yan, corruption was also prevalent in the country since he had just inherited the Magsaysay administration. So, because Magsaysay, President Ramon Magsaysay is accidentally or hindi inaasahan ng kanyang pagkamatay, so it says that Carlos P. Garcia is just inherited the Magsaysay administration. The imports that were coming in the country greatly outnumbered by the exports that we were shipping out of the country, making the Philippines highly dependent on foreign products that required dollar to purchase. Yan nga, sinasabi ko na talagang bumababa ang value ng money. So, imagine na ang import ng product from outside the country is much greater than our export from the Philippines to other country. Laws and programs. Yan. Carlos P. Garcia is known in his words as Filipino First Policy. Diyan siya kilala sa Filipino First Policy niya. Yan. What is this? To give local businessmen more priority over foreign investors. Products of Filipino businessmen were also referred over foreign products. That's why it's called Filipino First Policy. Inuuna muna ang mga businessmen at mga Filipino businessmen prepared foreign product versus foreign product. Inuuna yung mga produkto ng Pilipinas bago yung mga foreign investors sa businesses. It also known as Bolem-Serrano Agreement, ayan, sa Laws and Program. It was the law that shortened the original 99 years list of U.S. bases here in the Philippines to 25 years. The agreement was renewable for periods only up to 5 years. As you can remember, di ba dati sinabi na 2045 maglalagi ang American dito sa Pilipinas at that is agreement. But during Carlos P. Garcia, it is said that the law shortened the original 99 years list of U.S. bases here in the Philippines to 25 years. And renewable naman, only up to 5 years. And that is the laws and program in Carlos P. Garcia administrations. Another is austerity program. And what is this? The program centered on wise spending, industry, trustworthiness, integrity of honesty. He also urged people to avoid luxury items and to live a simple life and reminded government officials and employees corruption destroys the people's trust in the government. Yan. It also included the Republic Cultural Awards. The award was given to Filipino artists, scientists, historians, and writers. And now let's move to educational system and curriculum under Carlos P. Garcia administration. So first, as a measure of ensuring effective instruction, the full-day primary school session, which we had before the implementation of Commonwealth Act 586, was being distorted and the maximum size of classes has been reduced from 60 to 40 pupils. Ayan. Per classroom ito, 60 going down to 40 student. Next, the vernacular is now being used as a medium of instruction in the first 2 years of the primary grades, thereby promoting optimum literacy, especially among those pupils who can stay in school for only a few years. Yan. Ang medium of instruction during that time is vernacular in the first 2 years of primary grades. So next is the secondary curriculum has been revised so as to provide a common program of studies for the first 2 years, after which the student is given the options with the help of the competence counselor to choose between a vocation course and a college preparatory course. And may choices naman sa secondary curriculum. In the revised curriculum, more science and mathematics are offered in view of their importance in present day of life and world progress. Next, in line with the economic development program of the administration, vocational education has been receiving increased emphasis. So, mas malaki yung binigyan ng importansya yung vocational education during that time. Home industries are being fostered as a means of enabling our people to have a supplementary source of income. All school divisions have organized home industry centered which survey local raw materials to be developed, train workers, standardize products, and assist producers in marketing items. So yan ang binigyan ng emphasis ni Carlos P. Garcia, ang vocational education. And specifically home industries. Ayan yung nag-augment ng income. So, now let's go to Diosdado P. Macapagal, which is the late father of Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. His term start in 1961 to 1965. So, first we're going to discuss the primary problems during his administration. First is the low living standards of the masses. Talagang low living standard pa rin ang karamihan sa mga tao during Diosdado P. Macapagal administration. Lack of economic stability, wala talagang stable na economic status during that time. And unemployment at talaga namang problema pa din during that administration of Diosdado Macapagal. The valuation of Philippine peso. Yan. Mababa pa rin. Foreigners could now buy and control more local businesses easily because of the exchange rate. They were richer than the Philippines. Talagang yung mga foreigners ay talagang inaamo-amo during that time. Talagang ang Pilipinas, ang mga Pilipino ay talagang tayo lang ang manggagawa. Pero mas sinasabing richer compared to the Filipino men ang mga foreigner during that time. So, next is the low-end programs during Aquino Diosdado Macapagal administration. First is the often Malacanang to the public. Just like Ramon Magsaysay, which is talagang open naman ang Malacanang sa publiko. However, it didn't last long because people started to only loaf around. Yan, talagang nagtatambay lang naman pala mga Pilipino, kaya hindi rin nagtagal. Dismiss corruption in the government when he officially couldn't justify his sudden acquisition of wealth. Yan. Hindi niya ma-justify ang kanyang wealth kung saan galing. Change the date of Philippine independence from July 4 to June 12. Kaya pala, nag-change ang ating Philippine Independence Day at every June 12 natin isineselebrate ay because of Diosdado P. Macapagal. Siya pala yung nag-declare ng date of June 12 as Independence Day. So what are the educational system or curriculum during his administration? So basic to the efforts toward economic expansion and the growth of social benefits to the common man is the proper education of the citizenry. So it was toward this objective that the Philippine Department of Education formulated policies and implemented measures to improve the quality of instruction and to strengthen the curricula in all levels of instruction. Talagang pinagpopokusan nila ng ma-improve yung quality of education. Most especially the educational curriculum. Thus, during the past years, 13,000 new classes were opened by the Department of Education on the elementary level as compared to 10,300 new classes opened during 1961. From 10,000 to 300 classes, so naging 13,000 new classes na. Ayan. Yan ang achievements na tinatawag sa educational system or curriculum during Diosdado P. Macapagal. And that's all for my report. I just prepare here some quotations, quotes to ponder. So, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act but a habit. By Aristotle. Strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value. And lastly, teaching we're not in it. Teaching, we are not in it for the income, we're in it for the outcome. So, always remember that hindi lang tayo nagtuturo para sumahod, para sa sasahurin, para sa kikitain. So, narito tayo sa field na ito para sa outcome. Nagbibigay po tayo ng magandang outcome. Tayo ang nagmo-mold sa kinabukasan at sa lahat ng profesyon dito sa daigdig. Yan. And that's all. Thank you.